Project Pat, what up, short?
How you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming out and doing this. I'm excited.
Good. Me as well.
Yeah, dude. So, here we are, dude. Second season of the A.live podcast. We're running live. Keep the language clear. No vaping. I'm just kidding. You can do anything you want to do. But here we are, dude. It's good to be here. It's good to be in the studio with you, man. What's going on? What led you to come into recovery, man?
What led me to come into recovery? In the very beginning, I was kind of forced by the state of Maryland. Caught my first adult charge when I was 18, I believe it was.
Okay.
And Baltimore City saw fit that I came to Narcotics Anonymous in recovery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was kind of forced.
You just broke a tradition. So.
I was kind of forced.
It's all good. Hey, listen. So basically, you came to recovery because of the courts. So,
yes. Yeah.
And so at that point, do you think you were ready? Have you made a decision that you were done?
At that time, no, absolutely not.
No.
I was young. I was dumb.
How old were you?
I was 18.
Okay. You probably said that already.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was 18. I didn't get clean till I was 28.
Okay.
28.
Okay. And how old are you now?
33.
33. Dude, I'm 33.
Yep.
That's crazy. We're same age.
86, baby.
Yeah.
86,
July right
baby.
here.
Yeah, I'm November.
Oh, okay. Cool. You're so much more mature than me, dude.
Well, that's your view on it.
I'm
trying to present myself as mature on your podcast right now.
Okay. I think
That's
what
all
it is the maturity develops over the years that you have clean. Probably.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. There's a lot of things that come with, the longer you stay clean.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, you develop some humility. You just to start to develop a sense of self that kind of just reflects. Lately I've been in this kind of not the greatest of mood because I got a lot going on. There's, a lot of gifts of recovery that I have received, since being clean, and with with those blessings and with those gifts, come a lot of stress, anxiety, and
sure. Yeah, I noticed for myself that the first year was a lot about having fun. Mm-hmm. And I remember celebrating my first year, and at my anniversary they were like, welcome to your second year where the real work starts. Mm-hmm. So the second year for me has been about responsibilities and less of having fun. Now don't get me wrong, I still have been having a lot of fun in my second year, but I had a daughter. Some real life stuff happened, so
yeah, absolutely. Your first year is kind of finding yourself.
Yeah,
finding your groove and your role in society as you, because for me, I know when I got clean, and most other people, I didn't know who I was.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So the first year was kind of just figuring out who Pat was.
That's so good.
All that good stuff, and then it kind of turns in, the second year, and you kind of find that out if you work on yourself.
For me, that's so good that you hit on that, because the first year was about who I thought that I was. The second year is about really finding out who I am, and so what I notice is I created this identity in my first year. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of got stripped away from me. And now I'm really finding out, who is Aaron.
Yeah, it was a created identity.
Correct.
And for me, that created identity was created during my using career. And so I had to put up a lot of fronts, a lot of walls, a lot of barriers, to be the person that I was when I was using in the streets. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to call it gangster or whatever, I was just a dope fiend crackhead. You know what I mean?
Thug life, baby.
Yeah, thug life, baby. I was just a dope fiend crackhead, but putting myself in situations that I was in, I had to put on this front that I wasn't just, a junkie. You know what I'm saying? I had to put on I'm this hard MFer and blah blah blah. And then when I finally decided to stop using and recover, a lot of those walls got broken down, especially inside of my first year, because I'm big on the steps. You know what I mean? my sponsor will tell you, you know, I beat his door down to go over step.
Yeah.
Like that's what, you know, he used to say.
That's awesome, dude. That's a good quality to have.
It is. And
sure.
like, you know, everybody says it like, you know, the steps are the way up and out. And like for years, cause I came into narcotics and I was here for a decade before, you know, I ever put one foot in front of the other and started really listening. And like, I would hear all those things of everybody saying that, you know, work the steps or die, MF, blah, 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 the steps are the way up and out. That's what frees you and everything like that. And I think right around my 5th step is when like, I was like, holy shit.
Like, kind of like dawned on you?
Yeah,
like, this is who I am? Like, is that what you're saying? Not
like this is who I am. It's just like, oh my God, like I could see the evidence of the change in my life for the good. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, dude, I mean,
and it's just like crazy to like, cause prior, like, I don't want to, like 1 through 4, like it was like, I used to hate the flat book. I felt like I was doing homework. You know what I mean?
It feels very much like that.
And then like after like 4, like they talk about like, you know, you feel like this freeing feeling. And I don't want to say that I didn't get that, but like right around 5, like right after 5, I was like, it was very evident that everything in my life was like changing. And like they say, like you'll change without your permission. And that's exactly what it was. And like, so
that's crazy.
From that point on, like I actually enjoy diving into
that's
work.
Crazy.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, dude. I feel like for me, I'm going through like an identity crisis right now. You know, I'm trying to find out who is Aaron. I just finished up step 2 and went over with my sponsor. And like I'm not here to advocate Narcotics Anonymous. I'm not here to advocate that any program of recovery is the way that it's going to work for you. I just know what works for me, right? And it's Narcotics Anonymous, and it's the 12 steps and the fellowship and God of my understanding, communication and connection with my sponsor and men in my network that's huge. Been helping me to find out who is Aaron. So I'm going through this identity crisis right now, and like that's reassuring to know if I just keep going forward in my process that it's gonna one day. I think it says somewhere in our text that before we're halfway through this process, we'll know we'll have a freeing experience or something like that.
Yeah, well, you know, you get like a lot of, for me, along the way, there's like a lot of like a spiritual awakenings. Our text states about a spiritual awakening, and in 12, you know, after completing the steps and whatnot, you know, and I'm through 12, starting over, and
nice.
It is a freeing experience just to like know that, like, you know, for the first time in my recovery, and you know, because I came to recovery, like I said, in 2004, you know, didn't get clean till 2015. So like for the first time in my being introduced to recovery, like I've gone through it, because like there was times when I would like work on some steps and I would lie. You know, I would just like bullshit my way through it just to like.
And this was in your first time around in step work, you think? Is that what you're saying?
I've done it. I've done step work multiple times, but it was never like an honest try.
Yeah.
It was never honest. It was with different sponsors and stuff like that. But like knowing that this time, like I went through all 12, you know, honestly, you know, that's a very freeing experience, knowing that like I put it all into it, you know, going through.
Yeah. So question about what you just said. There was something you said there that was kind of intriguing to me. And because I know why don't have the experience, but I know that a lot of people who work the 12 steps and get the whole way through and they start back over. So for those people who may be listening or watching that don't know, like, why do you start the steps over?
Well, for me this time around, I mean, I had switched sponsors.
Okay.
You know, this time around. Other times was relapse. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like I would relapse, and I'm talking like the most clean time before this bout, you know, the most clean time I ever had was 6 months. And
before this time around. And you just celebrated 5 years on Friday.
Yes.
Congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It's really inspiring for an addict like me, who's coming up on 2 years. Actually, Tuesday will be 2 years for me.
That's awesome.
So thanks, dude. I'm pumped about it. It's been a hell of a journey. Like, what can I say?
Absolutely.
But yeah, man. I mean, So before you got this 5 years, it was a struggle for you.
Yeah, it was a struggle. You know, I would never want to listen to everything that everybody was saying because I still had that street mentality, you know, those personalities and those walls and everything that I would put up. Like I would still want to hold on to those behaviors, like that street mentality and everything like that. And, you know, like coming in this time, like I just put it all down. You know what I mean? And
like it's like you've come to a surrender.
Yeah, well, I was so beaten this last time. You know, I was on the streets in the middle of the winter. I mean, it was a horrible experience, and you know, I can just remember saying to myself, like, how did I get here again? You know what I mean? Because I had gone to treatment this last time. I think once I counted, it was like my 23rd time in treatment.
Holy shit.
You know, multiple times in and out of jail, psychiatrists, you know, maintenance programs. I mean, I tried everything. And like, I knew.
Been there, yeah.
I knew through coming here since 2004 or you know, the program since 2004 that it did work.
Well, it's very evident in people's lives that you see working it. And I know for me, and it talks about in our literature as well, we tried psychiatrists, medicine, jails, institutions, whatever it may have been that we have tried before brought us to no avail, right? So here we are again, left to our own devices, and what do? We use. And so it's like at some point a change happened in me. I was like, yo, if I want to like be something, well, you know, more than I am today, like I got to do something different because none of this shit's worked for me. Yeah.
And like the great thing about the program is that, you know, there's many that have come before us. You know, there's many who have come before us. There's many who have been where we're at, who are still here today. And they've already like laid down the foundation. And so it's pretty much, it's just pretty much for me, it's just following suit. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I'm an observer. You know, I observe people.
Sure.
So like I sit back, like I'm very quiet when it comes to like being actually like at a meeting.
Yeah.
But like I like watch people, man. Like it's not hard to read between the lines with a lot of people. So
sure.
So if I like see somebody like going through something, and then like, you know, years later or whenever later, like I'm going through the same thing, like I know where to go for the help, you know. And like I said, like just following suit, just like listening to directions, you know what I'm saying, from people that have come before me. It's
they say like it's a simple program for complicated people. We complicate the shit out of it, but it's really not that hard. Just take simple suggestions.
Absolutely.
And you're good, man. That's what I've had to do. I had to like humble myself and be like, well, Aaron's way doesn't work. So let me try some, like, there's got to be a different way. So
yeah. And there's and this way, this new way of life. You know, I talk about it with other people in recovery or sponsees or, you know, my sponsor, whoever. You know, it's one of those things that like this way is like so much easier. Like life is still there. Like life's not going to change. You know what I'm saying? Like life is exactly the same it was when I got clean. You know what I'm saying? Now my life was not. So like, you know, like we go through, you know, we go through things around here, and you know, it's just it's a lot easier for me to like do this like with a clear mind. You know what I'm saying?
To do this life thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. It's a lot easier for me to, you know, have people that I can rely on and fall back on.
Absolutely.
You know, in order to help me on a day-to-day basis. And it's not just, you know, for me now, it's not just about staying clean. You know what I mean? It's about like keeping my head above water sometimes. It's me about, you know, staying sane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Like it's, for me, it's not about the drugs anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that's not
right.
You know, I think you know what I'm trying to say, but
I do. And like, that's one of the things, and I don't mean to pull you away from what you were saying, but that's one of the things that, one of the reasons that people will go back and rework the steps and they apply it to different areas of their life that doesn't have to do with the drugs anymore. And I kind of want to switch our train of thought here.
Me too.
Because for me, I notice during this identity crisis that I'm going through, right, that I have a lot of ego and self-centeredness, right? Have you experienced that? Like, what's your experience with ego and self-centeredness?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Still to this day, it's something I struggle with. Years ago, I have like an issue with praying, right?
Okay.
And so like my sponsor, he would say, set an alert in your phone, set a timer in your phone or something, and it goes off. And he says, and whatever's bothering you in your life, pray for that, pray for it. So like for the past like 3 years, I pray for other things. But like my main prayer is like, please remove the defects of my character from me. Okay. And one of those defects is ego. For me, like I got clean and I obtained a lot of gifts of recovery very fast. And, I start to feel better. I start to look better. I have a couple dollars in my pocket. I start buying stuff, that I like. And like, I would say like, oh, I'm just making up for lost time, because I have it available. And so like that feeds into my ego, like knowing that I can, do this or I can do that, like pretty much at the drop of a dime. And it shows in my character. And it's very, for me, it's like I don't like those types of people. Okay. Like me. Like when I see that type of person who's flashy and doing all these things that like that like I couldn't do, like that kind of like annoys me a little bit. Yeah. Because I think they're like flaunting.
Yeah, it doesn't fulfill that spiritual disconnect that we have. Like during this identity crisis that I'm going through, right? And I keep going back to this because it's like it's evident in my life. Like I got ego and self-centeredness, and I got to let that shit go. Like if I start to create another identity that is pretty much like it's my decision now. Do I create an identity in the God of my understanding, or do I create an identity that's of Aaron's will, right? So I can, buy a new sweatshirt, or I can buy new shoes, and I can be presented as this new person that I feel like I deserve because I'm doing the right thing now. But if I create an identity in that, then I'm really not creating anything of meaning. Like I need to...
You're pulling away from your true identity.
Yeah, so it's like it's a very difficult journey that I'm on, that we all have to embark on at some point if we're in this process of recovery. I feel like it's...
So like I pray for the removal of that, and like you spoke on the self-centeredness, like so like I have 3 kids, I'm married. I have 3 children, and and I work very hard, to provide for everybody in my family. I work very hard to provide for the guys that work for me and everything. And like I'll come home, right, at like the end of the day, and some days I'm home sooner than other days, but like I have like my routine that I do when I come home, and it's kind of like my unwind. Yes. You know what I mean? Because what I do is extremely like stressful. It's a high strung environment doing what I do. I'm a small business owner, so it's like I'm providing for a lot of people, and it's very stressful sometimes.
Yeah, we were talking about it before the podcast started, that a lot of people rely on you for their livelihood.
Yes,
because you're an employer.
Yes,
you own a small business, and you actually employ other addicts in recovery, right? Yes. So. And whether or not you employ people outside of recovery, I don't know, but I do know a few people that you do have employed, and they are in recovery. So they rely on you, right? So that's a lot of weight on your shoulders, aside from, your own family. Yeah. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that pressure?
Going back to the self-centeredness real quick. Yeah. Like I was talking about my routine, right? And my routine is the same every single day. Okay. Every single day. I'll come home, I'll kick my shoes off, I'll hang up my keys, and I'll go down in my man cave, right? Okay. And I play my drums, right? That's awesome. I play my drums every single day for about a half an hour to an hour. Good. And then immediately following that, because like I play hard, I get like tired, and like I'm like, heavy breathing and everything, I relax in my recliner. Nice. And I kick on my video game.
every day,
every single day.
Okay.
You know, the weekends is multiple times a day, but like my wife normally comes home with the kids during that time.
Sure.
And like I can hear them like upstairs running around, and I can hear her, you know, like you know, screaming or whatever.
Yeah.
And like me, I'm like, I should go up there.
Sure.
I should go up there because like my wife works very hard as well.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? She wakes up in the morning, drops some of the kids off, goes straight to work. Straight after work, she comes. She doesn't even come home. She goes straight back and gets the kids, and then she comes home, brings them home, and immediately starts cooking dinner.
Yeah.
And like, so I'll be downstairs and I'll be like, you know what? I normally play like 3 to 5 games, like, you know, on my video game.
Sure.
And I'm only on the first game. So like with her, I know she needs the help upstairs, but like it's like I'm not done unwinding.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm doing this for me right now. And that goes to the self-centeredness. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's not always about me.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? And like I've been trying to get better with like a lot of things with the self-centeredness or with the ego or something, but it's just like something that I'm like, I need to unwind.
And for
you know
me,
what I mean? I'm
like,
not ready for all of that.
We can put a twist on that. I mean, I know I can say, well, I'm not done unwinding, so it's better for the whole family if I unwind first.
Yeah.
Before I go up, or they're gonna see a stressed out Aaron or a stressed out Pat.
That's false advertising. Because like here, at the reality of it is like, guess what?
What's up?
Like my wife don't have time to unwind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She doesn't get a minute.
Yeah.
To like unwind.
Yeah.
And like here I am being selfish as hell, down in the basement.
Yeah.
I know she could use the help.
Sure.
You know, and a lot of the times I do cut my game in short and I go up there.
Sure.
And like if I'm not done totally unwinding, then I'll have like an attitude. You know what I mean? And you know, it's
a patitude.
A patitude. Yeah, it's a patitude. And but no, it's something, it's like one of those things that, you know, the defects that, you know, I pray for the removal of, you know, and that's the alert in my phone. Pray for removal every day, 8 a.m. goes off in my phone. And but no, man, self-centeredness. That's awesome. Ego.
So 8 a.m. every morning. An alarm goes off on your phone. Pray for the removal of my ego.
It's just defects. Just pray for removal. That's all it says. It says pray for removal. Whatever it is, whatever is going on in my life at that time, like I pray to just have it like removed.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If it's you know, defects of character, if it's like, you know, a certain resentment, or if it's just something like I'm unhappy with, you know, I just pray to like just let it go. And a lot of days I fail on that because I'll be on the phone. You know, I'm constantly on the phone for work and everything, you know, so I'll be on my phone. It'll be 8 o'clock and it'll go, and I'll look on the phone and I'll be like, oh, I can't pray right now because I got 9 more phone calls to make after
get back to that.
Yeah. And some days, you know, I fall short and, you know, I fall short in a lot of areas. You know, there's a lot of factors, you know, a lot of moving parts in my life, just like anybody else's. I'm not, you know, unique in any way.
Right. It's a balancing act, dude.
It is. It is a balancing act. And, you know, here it is years later, and I'm still trying to find that balance.
Well, it's funny because as soon as you think you found your balance, something's going to knock you off kilter, and you're going to have to re-find that balance. And it's like every day you have to find a new balance.
Yeah, you got to recalibrate yourself.
Yeah.
Every day.
And without that prayer or meditation, like how do you do that?
Yeah, well, that's my meditation when I'm on my drums, when I'm in my video game, man. That's what, you know. That's at least how I justify it.
Same for me, man. I mean, you know, getting in that creative space is what it is for me. Whether that's writing a song, making a beat, it doesn't matter what it is. Being creative, because guess what? The opposite of creativity is, Pat, destruction. So if I'm not creative, I'm destructive, right? And if I'm destructive, I self-sabotage. And if I'm creative, I create. I'm like the opposite of that. Whatever I'm trying to say. But you get what I'm coming from.
I do.
So like I personally need that outlet, that escape from, because we're not escaping using drugs anymore, man. So the addict brain like kind of defaults on how can I escape? Well, if we're doing it in productive ways that aren't hurtful. But then again, we also have to like manage our time and balance, because I can get sucked the fuck into writing a song and then obsess on it and obsess.
And you're completely, you know, not you, but like you can completely neglect your priorities. Right. You know, the things that matter the most.
Yeah, that's scary.
And that's one of the things that like you're talking about, like balance. So like I'm about to go into like my 6th year of business, and like this is the year for me to like figure out an easier way, because the way that I'm doing it, like it has to be an easier way. And so like this goes back to others who have come before me, right? There's many business owners, you know, in the program and everything. And so like I reach out to them. I'm like, you know, like I'm at like this threshold, man, where it's like, you know, it's it's just like right now it's like almost out of my control. Okay. Like everything is going on with my business. It's like I'm starting to like lose time and lose focus on a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out like ways to utilize my time more, you know, make it more efficient. And so like this is the year for that. And like the best place to go for experience with that is it leads back to the program. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, man. And you mentioned real quick, you just mentioned like this is the year for that, right? Well, the time is now, right? Yes, sir. If we just put stuff off, like I know that's one of my defects, like procrastination. I can just I'll do it tomorrow. And I do that shit all the time, even still, man. And I mean, that's not a healthy mindset for me. But also it's not a healthy mindset for me to like forget about my responsibilities and just fucking tackle everything head on right away. Like sometimes it's better for me to sit in that, and then maybe I come back to it tomorrow and realize that's not important. Why is that on my to-do list? Or maybe I shouldn't do that because the end result. Like sometimes you just gotta play the tape through.
Yeah, the mind is a it's a funny thing, man.
Yeah.
Our minds, man, they play a lot of tricks on us. It's a very complicated thing. You know, it's just crazy how like our mind can like
absolutely,
you know. And like another thing that I've been trying to work on is projecting, you know, like looking too far into the future. But like, you know, I try to stay in the day. I most of the time do, but it's like, you know, I always have like this overwhelming fear of like, what if, you know, something happens with this or something happens with that? Like, what am I going to do tomorrow? So it's like kind of one of those things where I'm like, you know, projecting to like protect the future. Okay. But also like I can get lost in like this world of delusion. Of scenarios and and all this stuff, and like I can start to like be like, oh my gosh, like
it's an unhealthy place for your mind to be, just as like living in the past would be too, right? And I find, you know, I think I personally right now I struggle more with living in the past than projecting to the future. Although I do both, I find when I'm most at peace with myself, and it's the hardest place to be, is right now. And I wonder why that is. Is it because I'm not happy with myself right now? Is it because I'm not
content?
Yeah, like so sometimes it's hard, man. It's real hard. But you know,
and that's why they, you know, like I do. I don't physically like write a like gratitude list,
right?
But like when everything in my life is like in shambles, or it appears to be to me, because here goes to that mindset, right? Like it's a crazy thing, right? So like I'll think like because this is happening or this is happening, like the world is crumbling. You know what I'm saying? And like so like one of my things is to like just look around, man. Like just open my eyes and just like look around. You know what I'm saying? It's like huge for me. You know, I had to call my wife, you know, last week, and I'm like, babe, like my world feels like it's falling apart. Like I just need to hear your voice. Like I just need to hear
grounding.
I just need to hear from you.
Right. It grounds you, something. Right? It grounds you in the moment.
Yeah. Because like I trust her opinion and her voice over like anybody else's.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just like one of those things where it's like, please, like, tell me it's gonna be all right. Like, please,
yeah,
babe.
Dude. Sometimes,
just please tell me it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And like everything she says, it's like stuff I already know. You know, like, this too shall pass, you know?
But sometimes you need that refresher, that reminder, dude.
Yes, because, like, left to my own devices, I can go off in the left field and go on some crazy runoff, made up delusion that my mind makes up.
I do it all the time.
You know what I'm
all
saying?
the time.
And so it's just like sometimes you need an outside source just to like kind of like ground you, pull you back down to earth.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
Hey, look, I'm here with you.
Yeah.
Okay, like we're here. We're not there. And like for me, like, you know, that's my wife. She's also in recovery, and you know, I respect her program and, you know, everything she has to say. So
yeah,
I'm like, just please tell me it's gonna be okay, baby.
So what have been
all right?
So what have been the most rewarding things for you in your recovery? Like, you talk about your wife and your kids and you're a business owner. Like, are these, what have you found to be the most rewarding things? Are they tangible things? Are they spiritual things and changes inside? What is it? Like, what have you gained in this 5 years of being clean, in recovery, working a program, that have been the most rewarding for you?
So the most rewarding thing, you know, and I'm not trying to like put my wife on a pedestal or anything, but like, the whole thing, like with my wife and I, is like, you know, when we got together and we like hit it off and everything like that, like I finally found like what love really is.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? You know, like past and previous relationships before, you know, here I am, you know, thinking I'm in love and everything, and like the feelings that like you get from finding, like, if you want to call it your soulmate, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like that trumps all those old feelings and everything. It's like, man, I thought I knew what love was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like here I'm being shown the true form of what it really is. You know, and it comes with my kids too. You know what I'm saying? It's like I never, you know, you never know like the depths and the levels of love until, like, you know, you find somebody that you can be with, or you have children. You know what I'm saying?
I know that, like,
it's amazing.
Real love is unconditional, right?
Yes.
Like, I've thought I've been in love before, but it was conditional, right? And that's why I'm no longer with my ex-wife. That's why all the flings I had in the past are bygones, right? So now I'm in a situation where I have a beautiful daughter, I have a beautiful girlfriend, and I love the love that I have is unconditional because we work through our troubles. Before, that conditional love, a curveball came our way, and it's like, bye, you know? But now I work through the struggles, I work through the problems in my relationships, and it's not fucking easy, man, as I'm sure you know, but it's so much more rewarding.
Yeah. So absolutely, man. You know, when I got clean, man, my daughter, she wasn't really in my life. You know, the state of Maryland was involved, and you know, I would get her, I think it was every other weekend, at, you know, my mother and father's house, you know, because they had a chaperone. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't be trusted around it because I was a dope fiend. You know what I mean? And so, like, coming in and, like, you know, the experiences that I had, like, with my daughter, you know, like, I was using, it was all like falsified feelings, you know, like covered up with drugs and everything like that. So like getting clean and then like getting her back in my life, and then like you know, finding like my wife and her daughter, and then, you know, having a child with her and everything. You know, you spoke on that unconditional love, man. That's like a huge thing for me. But you asked of like other things and like another spiritual thing that I had, you know, that I have found is self-acceptance.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because like there was such a long time that I was just very unhappy with myself. I was ashamed of who I was. You know, I couldn't look myself in the mirror, and like that all changed. You know what I'm saying? And
I think that
and working through the steps and everything, you know, you get this self-acceptance and the self-love, you start, for me, like, I was a dirtball, man. You know what I'm saying? I was a bad person. I was a dirtball.
And you're not anymore?
And I'm not. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, you're not, dude. I mean,
I'm like, if I was a 1 then, I'm like a 1.5 now.
Look, I have a lot of respect for your recovery, or you wouldn't be sitting here in this room with me, right? Not that feel like I'm better than the person that has 1 day. Like, I can be a beacon of hope for that person, right? Absolutely. Because I'm coming up on 2 years. And of course, I want to bring newcomers in if they're willing to come on the podcast. But, like, I have a lot of respect for your recovery. I see, and for who you are as a person, man. I found it's important to, like, look and see how people actually act behind. Because facades happen in the rooms of recovery. We can be misled. And I don't want to be a victim of misleading person. Yeah. So, but anyway, I mean, you were talking about self-acceptance, and that kind of falls in line with that identity crisis that I talked about going through. Is that I do some days I have trouble looking in the mirror at myself, and I'm like, who? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I'm currently on like a diet. And like I've lost like a little bit of weight, because like I would literally like look at myself and just be unhappy with like, like my body and everything. And it's like, that's just the mind playing tricks on me, because it's like, I sit here and want to talk about this self-acceptance and everything, and like how I love myself so much and I care about myself so much, and then like I'm gonna have like self-image issues. So it's like right there, like I need to do some more diving on working on myself, to where the self-image of myself, it doesn't, I'm not saying that it doesn't care, but like just like that self-acceptance, like that true self-acceptance of like who I am, and that's like with what I look like. You know what I'm saying? Needs to just be solidified. Yeah. And like that's diving deeper into, working on myself and whatnot.
I mean,
self-care is huge though.
It is huge.
Self-care is huge.
I can neglect myself.
I'm not saying stop doing drugs and don't brush your teeth and don't shower and stuff like that, because self-care is like definitely something that is huge, obviously. But
if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your loved ones. I mean, you gotta that self-centeredness and that ego, like, it can get carried away though. You can be over obsessive about yourself, and like, so it's really, again, about that balancing act, and really the steps. Have you found that they've helped you with these things?
Everything.
Yeah.
Steps have helped me with everything.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, I'm asking for the viewers, like I want to say, but I'm really asking for myself, right? Yeah. Because like I said, I just finished up step 2, and it's like, I'm having trouble, Pat. I'm having trouble turning it over to a power greater than myself, right?
Yeah, and but see, it's called working the 12 steps. Practicing them. You know what I'm saying?
So in all of our affairs?
Yeah. So like so it's not something like just because like, and this was something like I thought like, okay, once I complete this step, like I'm done. Like I'm done with that step until I come back around. Ooh. And it's not that at all.
No, it's not.
It's like practicing step 1 on a regular basis.
Man. Yeah, I was gonna say,
because the spiritual principle in the first step is just powerlessness. You're powerless over people, places, and things. The only thing that I have the power over is how I respond to those people, places, and things. And
dropping bombs.
Which is still a struggle. You know what I'm saying? Because like there's still stuff, like deep rooted stuff that like I still have embedded in me from the 11 plus years of active use. You know what I'm saying? That have still not fully been like pulled out. And that's why we consistently work the steps. It's not like, 1 through 12, I'm done. Whoop, whoop, I graduated. Like, I don't have to go back. Like, it's not like that. And it's like you find those things out in like your first round of steps. You find out like, your shortcomings and your defects and these things that you need to work on. So when you come back around to it the next time, you literally have something to go on, because like the second time around, like it's not going to be about the drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's a process, man. It really, truly is. And a predecessor of mine used to say that, you know, I want to thank the God of my understanding for another day, clean and serene in this process. It truly is a process. And he put emphasis on that part because it's not something where we just wake up one day and we're cured, right? It's something that we have to put the full work in on a day-to-day basis. I can't. If I take a break, if I take a reprieve from my recovery, the addiction creeps back in, and those character defects, they become magnified, right? And I go closer to who I used to be instead of closer to where I want to go.
And it's like one of those 1 step forward, 2 steps back thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't continue on working on it, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a firm believer. You know, I've you know, people in my life, you know, just sponsees, friends, just, you know, whoever, who are in recovery, and they say, man, you know, they'll call me with a situation like, yo, I heard you went through this, or like, what do I do in this situation? And it's like, you know, all I can do is give you an answer based in my experience. And if I don't have an experience in that, like, chances of me knowing somebody that has been, like, I can put you in contact with them. But it's like I have people ask me these things and they're like, man, like, what, like, I'm feeling this certain type of way, or like I'm going through this, or I'm going through that, or this is happening this way, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, the answer is in the steps, bro. Like, the answer is in the steps. Like, that's
important to know.
That's what I can tell you. Like,
that's a valuable thing to know.
It's 100%, man.
There was times in my early recovery before getting clean this time around. Like, I've been in and out of the rooms, right? But there was times, like, when I tried to get clean before, where I would turn to people in the program for suggestions. And it was important for me to learn, and I learned the hard way that people would give me suggestions that didn't have the experience. And then so I knew that deep down inside. So what I would do is I would get someone else's suggestion or opinion that also didn't have an experience, right? And so I would get many opinions on something that these people didn't have experience in. Then it left me feeling confused. What do I do now, right? And so it's important to know, like, the answers can be found in the steps. Like,
yes.
If you're getting a suggestion from somebody that doesn't, like, it's one thing to get a suggestion from someone that has experience, but if you're getting, like, would you say, like, it's not a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, there's that old adage, you know, opinions can kill.
And that's the truth, especially, you know what I'm
saying? Opinions can kill, man, because if you're going to the wrong place for your help. I mean, you wouldn't, if you had some ailment or something, like illness, like, you wouldn't go see like a dentist,
right,
for like a sickness that you were having.
Correct.
Or something like like you want to have the correct person for that. And it's like, and that's the great thing about networking and sponsorship, because, like, my sponsor, I'll call him with some shit, all like, you know, just off the wall shit, like, just something I'm going through, and he'll immediately tell me. He won't sometimes he won't even give me an opinion. You know, if he's going through something similar, he'll give me his experience based in that. But, like, he will literally, he's done it multiple times. He'll just send me a random person's number and says, I know this guy went through this. Call this guy, tell him, you know, I gave you the number, and hear what he's got to say. He'll tell you, you know, how to get through it, or like what he had to do, what steps he had to take in order, you know, to make it through that situation or whatnot. And you know, that's like I said, the great thing about not just like sponsorship, but fellowship in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They say, like, a closed mouth can't get fed, too, right? So if you don't open your mouth and let people know where you're at, you're never going to find somebody that went through that to get suggestions or direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I've learned that the hard way, too.
Yeah, they say, you know, you can't save your ass and your face at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, man. So, like, Pat, you're well put together. You're a good dude. You have a business. You have a family. You keep your head above water for the most part, it seems like. But let me ask you an important question. Do you have this thing figured out?
This thing in general sense?
Yeah. Do you have recovery?
No. Okay. Not at all. You got to remain teachable around here.
Okay.
because day-to-day experiences are going to vary.
Yeah.
They are going, like, I mean, so
you're constantly learning.
Yes. And I was just sharing at my anniversary the other night, how I've been in like kind of like a dark place. I don't want to say like a dark place, but just not like the greatest of moods. Yeah. I had a customer the other day call me grumpy. And like I had to go back and apologize for me being grumpy, because like I'm dealing with life on life's terms. And like they say, you stay around here long enough, you will get a turn with pain. You will get your turn with something uncomfortable.
God knows that's right.
And for me, like I've had my attitude, I try to stay, in a positive attitude. But like when things in your life just like seem to like be going left instead of right, you feel that. And so like right now what I chalk it up to is that it's my turn. It's my turn to go through something because it has been going good for, for a long time. And it all goes back to like what I said in the very beginning, like life is still life.
Yeah.
Life is still there. Like life doesn't change.
Yeah. And you mentioned being teachable, right?
Mm-hmm. Remaining teachable. Yeah.
Remaining teachable. There's 3 indispensable principles that our literature talks about, and it's honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. So that teachable part is like the open-mindedness part, right? So the honesty part, you got to be honest about where you're at, and you got to be honest with yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. And the willingness to take suggestions.
Yeah, the willingness to do something different.
And I think all those kind of like intertwine together.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're all important.
I mean, I don't ever want to get to a place where I think I got this. Because if I come to a place where I think I'm good, like I got this, like I have this figured out, and like there's nothing more that I can like learn about me or life or recovery or whatever it may be, like that would be a bad position to be in.
Sure.
In my personal opinion, and I've seen it happen many times. People that come around that put something before their recovery, and then the next thing you know, they kind of like fall off a little bit. They don't, they'll stop going to meetings, and hey, they'll be good. You know what? Maybe they'll be able to go out to a bar and have a drink with dinner, and and everything's good. You know what I'm saying? But like for me, like I don't even want to test that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've seen it happen multiple times, man, where like good people have like returned to their old ways and like are either struggling to make it back or have no chance of coming back because they've lost their lives.
And that's scary, man. People die every day.
Yeah, and so it's like one of those things where it's like, I find, I find that, or those types of situations, like I'm just like I find a lot of gratitude in it. I do. I take meetings in the facilities and like I see it firsthand, like people like fresh to death is, coming off the streets, and like it just reminds me of like how it was, because like the further you're removed from your last use, like the more you forget about how it really was.
Yeah.
For me, what I'm saying? It's so like staying in, a position of service, like in a facility or something like that, whether it be a jail or treatment facility, whatever. Like it's like, wow, like I'm one bad decision away from like being back here.
I've had the honor and privilege to share at some treatment centers myself, and I've gone into treatment centers and seen predecessors of mine who've been around before me in that treatment center. I'm sharing a message of hope and recovery to them that they once did for me. So yeah, if we lose sight of where we came from, it can happen like that, man.
Yeah.
And it's scary. We got to be on our toes with this thing, man. And it's a day at a time process. So
yeah, I don't ever want to have to repeat that part of my life again.
No.
So I stay teachable. I try to stay in the moment as to the best of my ability. I'm human. I fall short in many areas. But like for me, like I don't get it fucked up. I don't get it twisted. Like I know where I stand when it comes to doing what I have to do for my recovery to maintain the life that I have today. It's like a horror story, man. Just to like think about that, like at any given time, like without staying on top of this thing, man, how quickly it can go sideways. And like the sad thing, like we just spoke about it, you know, like the sad thing about it today is like the drugs for me, the drugs are different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They're not the same.
They're
Absolutely.
not the same.
You're not getting heroin anymore. You're getting fentanyl. And you're not getting cocaine anymore because there's fentanyl in that too. And like, it's killing people.
We lose a lot of people, a lot of good people, man.
Yeah.
You know, and it hits home even more when it's people that we know that have been introduced to recovery, because like at that point, like they know, like by coming around and seeing the evidence in other people's lives, that there's a different way. There's a better way. You know what I'm saying? It can be done. Like when I say like I was like the worst of the worst, like I mean that like wholeheartedly. Like I was the worst of the worst. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't believe that I'm here now. So like when you spoke on like me being like a beacon of hope for you with celebrating 5 years, like bro, I'm a beacon of hope for myself. Like real talk, like seeing myself like in a position of where I'm at now, 5 years clean, like that is insane to me. You know what I'm saying? And it all goes back to the program, man. You know, the network and the steps, everything. That's what I owe it all to. You know what I'm saying? Staying vigilant, staying teachable. You know, so
that's good shit, man. Yeah. And like I've had the pleasure of getting to know you just over the past year and some change maybe. I didn't see where you came from, but the guy I see sitting in front of me right now is a good guy, a guy that I feel like I can rely on. You know, and sure, life's gonna hit us with you know, it's gonna hit us, and you're one of those guys that I feel like I can reach out to when it does. So
absolutely.
I mean, and that's cool, man. And that's the kind of relationships that we can develop in this process, man. We're not alone here. We're not alone in this.
No. And like for somebody, anybody, it doesn't matter if you have 1 day clean or 50 years clean, man. Like when you help somebody, man, like you get you like reap the rewards so much more. You know what I'm saying? I help a lot of people out, you know, like I said, I stay in service. That's where I get my shot of gratitude, you know, my shots of hope from. Yeah. And like that's what keeps me going, man. Just helping other people. And like, and you know, I was speaking to my wife the other day, and she kind of like, you know, spoke on like how like I have like a really huge heart and I like to help people out and everything, and I get burnt a lot and this, that, and the other. And it's like, you know, out of everybody I help, you know, if like 1 or 2 people like succeed, like it makes it worth it to me. Yeah. You know, like fuck my feelings, you know, to a certain sense. You know what I mean? Okay. Like I'm just there to like help somebody, help the next person. And I was going through a situation a few years back where I was literally helping people like left and right, man, and I was getting burnt, for a better lack of a term, you know, whatever it would be. And that leads back to putting false expectations on people. But like now what I do is somebody actually in another area, I was sharing a meeting, and she pulled me up afterward after I had spoken on that, and she says, look, you need to let that shit go. She says, you need to do things now that like you do them because you want to do them without any expectations of anything coming back.
That's so funny.
Or any, you know, any certain specific results to the situation. Yeah. And it's like, so now when I do things, like I don't do it expecting something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny that you say that because my girlfriend and I were talking about that last night. You know. So we're about out of time, man. But, you know, I want to thank you for coming out on the podcast today, dude. So the message of recovery is that an addict, right? Any addict can stop using, lose this desire to use, and find a new way to live, man. And that's truly a powerful statement, right? Because an addict like me, and I can only speak for myself. Like you say that you were the worst, right? Doesn't get any worse than that. I feel like the same way about myself, man.
I would hope
we've lived it. We subject ourselves to that pain, and like I don't have to do that anymore today, and that's a powerful message in and of itself. So I'm grateful that you were able to come out here today and share your message of recovery, because like what someone can get from you, maybe they can't get it from me. And so in 2 weeks, I have another great guest coming on. He was a sponsor of mine when I lived in PA before I got clean. And I can remember I shared a meeting about a couple weeks ago in PA. And he showed up because I told him I was going to be in the area. And he shared, about he couldn't keep me clean. But he thought it was him. He thought it was his fault. And, he'll probably talk about that in 2 weeks. So make sure you guys tune into that here, 11 o'clock, 2 Sundays from now. And more will be revealed, right, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
On a daily.
So it's been cool, dude. It's been an honor to get to know you.
Thanks for having me out, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for listening. A.live Podcast.
Subscribe now at A.live Panda on YouTube.